Well, there's just sometimes that I like being wrong, and I love being wrong about not thinking that there was going to be an election called on Sunday. So while I admit that I was wrong and I did not think they were going to actually give us an election, here we are, and we're about to have an election in Canada. Welcome back to the Freedom Pines podcast. I'm your host, Jamie A.B. And you know what? Today, we have a whole month to talk about Mark Carney and the scary things that I found out about him this weekend, okay? But to me, I just want to talk about a little bit of hope right now, okay? Because this is the most freedom that I have felt in since I got in my car for the first time after I got my G2, okay? Being Canadian has been extremely hard, okay? In the last, I would say 5 years, because there wasn't too much difference of our lives, I would say, with the first 4 years of Trudeau. If I'm, being completely honest, it was really just his extremism, and obviously the effects of his first term coming to fruition in the last 5 years. But, it has been almost unrecognizable, the country that I grew up in. I was, as I've said to you guys before, somebody who came from not the best place. But I will say that my mom was a single mom, and when she was a single mom, she was still able to do fun things with me, because despite her being a single mom, Canada wasn't a place where only the elitists could do fun things. And my mom working overtime got us, a whole trip to Toronto. And, that's not happening these days. And my husband makes such good money. And we made such a sacrifice after I was coerced into getting those things that I were told were safe and effective, okay? That we moved 7 hours away from our families, okay? So that he would be paid good money to be a blue-collar worker, because it is hard to find a good-paying job down south for blue-collar workers. And he has made more than we have ever made combined down south, but do you think that we see that? When our groceries are quite literally $800 out of a paycheck, $400 a week to feed 5 people, and that's with me making bread, muffins, cookies, everything that you can bake, I bake. I can't even imagine the moms who work have to work. Because before the pandemic, those mini muffins, 12 of them, was $2. $2 for those mini muffins. Crazy. And now they're almost $5, almost $6 actually. Canada used to be a place that no matter what hardships you were facing at the time, you knew that the finish line of that hardship was going to pay off soon. And now we live in a Canada where that's just not the case. And there's just consistent, it almost seems like the goalposts just keep getting farther and farther away. You've done everything that you're supposed to have the freedom to do. Whether you had kids like me, and, we sacrificed our 20s. We had kids. I went to school. We worked our butts off. Okay, we bought our house. And not a lot of people who traveled and went to university and spent their time being single and having fun, and now are wanting to settle down and do all of those things I did in my 20s, where it's time for me and my kids to be traveling and having fun and doing all of those things. And now nobody gets to do anything. Nobody gets to buy a house. Nobody gets to go traveling. Well, obviously, if you're single and you don't have kids, you're probably able to travel a bit more, but I can't imagine traveling being as affordable as it was in 2015. I just can't. We have quite literally made focusing on climate change a cult-like issue. Doomsday. Making decisions based off of a doomsday prediction. There is taking care of the environment, and there is using this as an excuse to put us into poverty, to make us poor, to make sure that we'll own nothing and that we're happy. which is exactly what 4 more years of Carney, or 4 more years of Liberals, I rather, would do to us. I don't know where Canada would be if Pierre Poilievre loses this election. I genuinely have no idea the things that I will get into this week that I have found out about Mark Carney, and the things that he has even had thoughts of selling sex, selling the idea, selling parenthood, like not letting poor people have kids to save the planet. I am not kidding. Okay? Dark stuff. Canada has quite literally, like, they convinced a whole generation of millennials who grew up with unchecked access to the internet. Okay, we were not nice people. I wouldn't say we were racist. I wouldn't say we were homophobic. I would say we were bullies to everyone about everything. I'm just saying. And we all know that. So when they came in and started playing up this, like, you're naturally a racist, you're this, we're like, well, you know what? You know, we were kind of assholes when we were kids on the internet. So I think that they took advantage of our empathy, our situational stuff, right? Because they would exploit stuff about guns. And I was somebody who went through a gun situation. And, you know, my situation, though, is not what the reality was for everybody else. And, of course, they would take that and exploit it and make me feel bad and make me feel like they would fix that. When in reality, there's now a femicide in Canada because of the bail system. And instead of helping people, like, you can't just put people on house arrest and not provide any social service to make sure that those people get better. Giving people second chances is not sending them home and putting them on house arrest. It's putting them in a facility and giving them counseling and all of those different things that they know that they would have to do to help society be better. Canada has turned me so cold that I never thought that I would believe in the unaliving penalty. But the more that I see Paul Bernardo get moved to medium security prisons, I'm telling you guys, the evil stuff that the Liberals have been doing has made Canada unrecognizable, dark hole of hopelessness. And for the first time in 5 years, I feel hope. And I could literally cry just thinking about it, because Canada was so good before Trudeau came and ruined it. Before the pandemic tore us apart. Before we couldn't afford food. Before we were all living in fight or flight. And that's if people admit that something's wrong. A lot of people don't even want to admit it because they don't want to seem like free-dummers. Oh, give me a break. How can you go past the 10 cities and not think to yourself, this is not the Canada that I grew up in? Because I sure as shit can't look away from it. I can't just call people unhoused and call it a day. I need change to actually happen. And I saw change happening. I saw people get better. I saw people overcome way more during Harper. And Harper's not the best person. Okay, I get it. I completely get it. And there will be things that I don't agree with Pierre Poilievre on that you will find me calling him out on. But when I tell you that I have felt trapped in this country, and finally, I feel like I can breathe. So, are you guys ready for this election? As ready as I am ready for this election? Was that an orb? I don't know. Today's just a quick video, but I wanted to get this out here because I know I seem very emotional, but I'm quiet because my family's home. And I'm just so bloody ready and excited for this. Who else? Ooh, I'm so excited. Okay, anyways, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow me for all of the election coverage because I am so excited. And tell me who you're voting for in the comments.